This is the brief on the latest episode of the Job Scam Report to break down the downright scary rise of AI fraud. First, the old John Cena test, actually trusting what you can see, is totally did. AI video is now so incredibly realistic that candidates might just be interviewing with a scripted AI avatar instead of a real human being. Companies are completely falling for the bait and wait scam. They think they're hiring everyday remote staff, but they're actually onboarding fake employees, often actors from North Korea, believe it or not. These fakes just use the job to gain long-term access to corporate infrastructure and financial accounts before they finally strike. Finally, we all need to be playing aggressive defense. If you get a suspected spam call, hang up immediately. Because if you keep talking, they can easily record you to clone your exact voice. You've also got to verify every single recruiter's email domain against real landing pages and keep a strict log of your applications so you can quickly spot fake follow-up emails. Basically, as AI blurs the line between what's real and fake, successful hiring and job searching now absolutely demands zero-trust verification tactics. In the digital deception era, your skepticism is your best security.
Their homework, they know what you typically look at, and they know what you're expecting, and they know what your response is usually going to be. So it is really scary. Mark, how do we stop this? How do we protect ourselves from ending up in a situation where we're calling every bank we have, every credit card, whatever it may be, calling friends and family and saying, I'm not in a different country and I don't need you to wire money to me. All of those different scams that go on. How do we get on top of this?
Right. First of all, it starts with the individual. Like I said, my framework of clarify, verify, don't just apply. First, you gotta it's not just clearly seeing that this person's scam, is clearly seeing your own personal goals. And I sent out a LinkedIn post this morning about how if you're thinking more about what you contribute, you'll have less problems in defining what an actual scam is. Because somebody's just saying, hey, you'd be a great fit to this position. You go check the position out and say, well, what in the world would I contribute? So right there is like, well, that wouldn't be fit if I don't know what I'm contributing. So you may even go back and forth and ask what that is. It's unlikely you'll be told that. So that's one way to clarify. The other ways is just to stop and think about why would this make sense for this much money to have this flexible schedule, to have this much PTO. This doesn't make any sense. Why would it be? And check this out. If you're clear about your industry and the industry pursuing, your industry doesn't offer those kind of things.
Right.
This would not make any sense. Most would offer this. But because of people where they're on, and to your point earlier, it's sort of like the guy and the girl who hasn't been complimented on the look for about a year, then all of a sudden they get a compliment. They go, ooh, I kind of like that. That does something to them. It's the same thing. If you've been job searching for 6 months to a year, somebody gives you say you're a great fit. You're going.
You're excited.
You're excited. And so that plays into it. You may even be conflicted and excited, and both could be true at the same time. So that would be that first step. And secondly is to verify. So you're going to vet and research the person that reached out to you. You're going to go to their LinkedIn profile. Now, you have to be careful because people can just point to a LinkedIn profile and say that they're anybody over the phone. So if it's somebody on LinkedIn, and people have done this, they said, well, the person was on LinkedIn. I said, you send them an invite. More than likely, they didn't get a response. And you know what? That imposter can't because they're just using it. Now, there are cases where bad actors have taken over long-standing LinkedIn profiles or just hacked it. And that's possible. Then that means you have to do more research. All that to say, you got to do that work. And don't just apply means that you're not going to just go to whatever somebody sends you a link. You got to call the company, check with a real recruiter, for that company, see if they're doing it, see if coworkers know, see if anybody knows if that company is really hiring for this kind of position. Now, the dialogue usually get is saying, well, this is a special situation. There is no such special situation when it comes to jobs because there are localities that are kind of to them, right? You know, as a recruiter, they automatically is a really special. How special can this be where nobody on the inside knows?
Right.
So, all those things considered, but I just took you through the life. You can
Yep.
either go deeper, but really when it comes down to that one red flag, if it doesn't check out, either pause a whole lot longer or disengage. I've been recommending disengage,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
sometimes you do get the recruiters who have scamming behavior. They might be real recruiters that just act terribly, and the question might be then, said, do you really want to work with that kind of person?
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, I think, to your point, there's a couple different levels that need to happen here. And in concert with what you're laying out from a career planning perspective and from an interviewing perspective, please make sure that you're doing some research before you start responding to things. You want to know who you're responding to, even if it's not a scam. Make sure you know who you're responding to.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Mark made the point that Mark made around, just because they send you an email and it has a link to their LinkedIn profile does not mean that LinkedIn profile is real. Go into LinkedIn and do a search for them. If there's two profiles that come up, we may have a problem. And then the next piece of that also, and we talked about this earlier on, we talked about it last time we chatted. Look at the domain. Look at the domain address they're using. Make sure that it actually makes sense. If something's misspelled, chances are that company didn't miss that typo. It's pretty sure that that's where it is.
And they can use a tool. I got a tool for you. Actually, there's a bunch I have on the job
nice.
scam report.
Okay.
Not a specific tool, but there are places where you can go to check to make sure our company is real.
Excellent.
The company, the best URL that I've been recommending is called whois.com. That's WHOIS.com. And what it does, it will tell you who created this account. Now, let's say, again, using Microsoft with the XGT, they send you a URL. Let's say it says career-microsoft.com. That should sound funny as it is, but just in case you put it in and it says that the owner just created it last year, that's problematic automatically. Not only that, but it's owned by somebody else other than Microsoft. Can you imagine, that somebody's personal name owns a Microsoft name? That's just insane.
That sounds unlikely.
It's only not for a big company, a small company. Well, we can get to, we're not going to go into the minutiae of that. But all that to say is that tells you everything you need to know. Once you debunk the company, once you debunk the recruiter, you've done a research and recruiter, say, hey, this guy can't be a recruiter, because you check them out. They don't check out.
Yeah.
So, and recruiters, from what I know, I have a lot of friends who are recruiters. They're very forthright with who they are and their credentials.
Yes.
It's very clear. They'll point you to their